I attended Washington High School here. My dad, my stepfather, after he retired from the Army, my natural dad died when I was 6 months old. My stepfather was a career Army officer. I went to my parents' wedding, which is kind of unusual. Out here at Fort Belvoir, I was 5 years old and went to kindergarten there in first grade at Fort Hood, Texas. And then my dad retired from the Army and we moved right back to Northern Virginia. He taught high school at Marshall High School for the time it opened for 20-some years. I went to Washington High School, graduated, attended the Naval Academy 3 weeks later. Taught scuba all 4 years I was at the Naval Academy and loved being underwater, so I managed to wangle a billet in the diving and salvage community in the Navy. I went to hard hat diving school, which you all can appreciate at that time. If you saw the movie, that's what I dove in, the old brass hard hats. But the diving school was in the Anacostia River. It was in the Washington Navy Yard. So if you can do it on the bottom of the Anacostia, you can do it anywhere. And, that was the theory the Navy had, and it's absolutely true. So yeah, I had a wonderful run there. I was on a salvage ship. I was the operations officer, the navigator on the salvage ship, and one of the diving officers. I had just a tremendous opportunity, two deployments to the Mediterranean, all up and down the East Coast, doing stuff that divers trained for. It was just a great experience. I was then subsequently transferred to Long Beach Naval Shipyard, where I was the Los Angeles Harbor salvage officer, but primarily what they call a ship superintendent. So I spent the bulk of my time on ship repairs. I was the gas turbine guru, so I spent my time on the gas turbine ships, and then I got a bad reputation for putting electronic systems on, and was reassigned to put the Tomahawk cruise missile system on New Jersey. Reagan reactivated to New Jersey. So that's kind of my technical background. I left naval service, went to work for a private shipyard down in Newport News as a production manager. The owner sold the property, so I had to lay off 250 people and then turn around and look for the next person to lay off, and it was me. And my dad at the time had retired from teaching school, got together with him and said, look, if you can bankroll me a little bit, I think I can get these 100 people back, the last people I worked with, the finest people I've ever worked with. Ship fitters, pipe fitters, welders, machinists, the people that work in shipyards. And he agreed, and we started a company down in Portsmouth, Virginia, and it was just myself doing consulting work to begin with. We grew it to 100 people before I sold that in 1989. When I sold that, I had a non-compete on me for 4 years. I didn't have anything to do, concerned about issues that I saw going on in government, and said, you have time, motive, opportunity, why don't you run? So I ran for the House of Delegates, and with no name recognition whatsoever, just a whole lot of door knocking and meeting a whole lot of great people in Virginia Beach, and won. And I've been doing that ever since. That was 1992. Interestingly enough, Bob McDonnell and I ran in side-by-side House of Delegates seats that same year in 1991, and we both went on. It was a fairly large class, of which there's still a few of us left in the General Assembly. Did that. The state senator moved on to Congress. I ran in a special election and took that Senate seat in 2000 and been in the Senate ever since. Along the way, I've obviously gained a lot of seniority, but I've also gained a lot of experience on what goes on in Virginia and what doesn't go on in Virginia. Probably the biggest eye-opener for me in a professional aspect of the career was being put on the Senate Finance Committee. Once you're on the Senate Finance Committee, you begin to understand how the state works. And then, I don't know what I did wrong, but they put me on the Social Services Subcommittee of the Senate Finance Committee, and I began to try to understand the great plethora of agencies and interaction between agencies, and let me tell you something, I don't pretend to know what many of you in this room know and experiences. So, parallel to all of that, and I kind of left this out, my youngest daughter is development legislator, and worked with her, obviously had the experiences in the public school system. My wife at the time and I selected to move her to a private school. Worked out well, but there's a limitation. We were very fortunate to get her into Woodrow Wilson Rehab Center, and I understand on the autism that there's a wide spectrum, and it's such a big a big program that encompasses very functional to not so functional people and everything in between, and their special needs. I met Lucille, and I'll introduce her later. She's got just a few words to say, probably shake your pockets for the Peninsula School for Autism. But I met her, and I'll never forget this. Our first date, I picked her up from Habitat for Humanity. She was the chairman of the board director for Habitat for Humanity on the Peninsula, Newport News, and Hampton that region of York County. And met her, and she's always had her hand in that. And because of my interest, my daughter, but her interest in always trying to help the community, about 6 years ago, 5 years ago, she went on a Peninsula School for Autism, which really opened up my eyes even more. Some of the things that struck me and some of the issues that I've worked very, very hard on is, first of all, those in the health insurance community would like you to believe that autism is an education problem. And I'm sitting there going, how can you possibly conceive that autism is an education problem? It's a health problem, and it ought to be covered by health insurance. What you would have thought would have blown the roof off. And it's fortunate, I being around long enough, you end up chairing things. And one of the things I chair is the Commerce and Labor Committee. One of the functions of the Commerce and Labor Committee is oversight over insurance. So it puts me in a pretty good role to assist things through, let's put it that way. And we were able to get it up to 6 years old and include that as part of the health insurance package. Oh my God, and the rates will go through the overhead. Well, now we have the statistical data back that tells us no, it didn't impact health insurance rates at all. And so this year I said, all right, let's go for 16, got it out of the Senate, as you might imagine, the committee chair, you can do this kind of thing, and got it over to the House, and the House said, look, we've cut a deal, we're going to eliminate it all the way, let's wait till next year. So there are supporters on both sides of the aisle that support this and understand the needs of the community. Me, from a personal standpoint, I will tell you this, that those that can help themselves but choose not to, I don't have a whole lot of use for. Those that cannot, and quite frankly, some of those people are taking money away from those that really need the help. Those that need the help, we have a responsibility as citizens of Virginia to make sure that we're taking care of those that cannot take care of themselves. That's a function. And it comes out when you start talking. It's not a campaign issue you'll hear anybody talk about, perhaps me. I mean, I just feel that strongly about it, that we've got to get the word out about what's going on. My opponent in this Republican primary said we're going to cut income taxes. And I'm sitting here going, really? We just closed a $1.2 billion deficit. We have a retirement system that's $19 billion out of whack. We have a rainy day fund that's supposed to be there for a recession, so we just drew down to its lowest level. It should be at $2.4 billion to $300 million. This, in my mind, we have mentally ill people in our largest mental institutions, which unfortunately become our jails, and that's where we house them. And we don't have the facilities, the capabilities to take care of these individuals that should not be in jail. And I can assure you, those that watch the jails, the deputy sheriffs, are not trained to deal with mentally ill people, yet that's where we house them. And if you haven't been to a jail, take that opportunity to go. The sheriffs will be delighted to give you a tour and see what goes on in jail. So we have some big social problems in this state that have got to do that. And, you know, these things take money, and obviously money is at a premium, and I'm not suggesting we have a tax increase, but I am suggesting that we cannot lose the priorities of doing that. We can manage different programs better, in my mind. There's some cost savings that we had there. But first and foremost, we got to watch out for those people that we cannot. And it draws really from, I don't think any of the other candidates, perhaps Ralph Northern, but unless you've been in the role I've been for the years I have, and had parents come in with their children and understand their children are 52, 53 years old, and these people can see the end of their life coming. And they might be in a training center, or they might be in a situation. Who is going to watch out for my children? And you'd have to be a pretty cold-hearted individual to say leave. I mean, you know, the empathy is there. I mean, these are serious problems, and you know, I've been with parents whose children had Down syndrome. It feels like I turned one over to Lucille and became her phone buddy. You know, the mother did, and very gracious. And the mother, she's been through 2 husbands that have passed away. She's probably in her 80s. And her Down syndrome child is in the 50s or 60s, living at home. I mean, she's doing all those responsibilities. But what do you do when she passes away? What happens to that child, quote unquote, adult? What happens to that? And you know, we have to have a system that I believe handles these cases better and does those things. And first of all, we have to recognize that autism is a medical condition. It is a medical condition and needs to be treated. And we know, based on the results that we've seen in schools like Lucille's a part of, and some of that the significant advances can be made. The earlier the intervention, the constant. So we don't quite know what those abilities are. My youngest daughter, for instance, went to Woodrow Wilson for 16 weeks of independent living, finished that up and went into a career in food service training. And she now works full-time in Little Creek, the busiest space in the galley, and cleaning off tables and doing dishes and doing that kind of thing, and happy as a plant. And otherwise she would be at home just sitting there wasting away at home. And so the people with disabilities, and she works with some of her coworkers are deaf, some of them have, but with the services that are provided by the state and federal money, to have these agencies that contract with federal governments and other companies that want to use these services of disabled people. Disabled people have a lot to contribute to the economy of Virginia. Disabled people have a lot to benefit. My daughter's a tax-paying citizen that we all talk about. She makes good money. She has benefits, and she does those kind of things. And she probably reached her apex of what she will be able to do, and that's fine. And we understand that, and we move forward with it. But sitting here at 61, and my former wife, and even still gets involved in this, is we're 61, 71, 81. Now she's got 3 sisters, and you know, they will be providing. But those same worries that I have are shared by every parent who has someone with disabilities. And you know, I don't think that we've been able to close that kind of loop. And quite frankly, when I get involved, I find out that a lot of this is federal government regulation that prevents us from doing some of the things we think are best. Some of it's the results of a lawsuit that I don't necessarily agree with, agreement with the Justice Department that forces the end of Virginia to do some things that I don't think are the best for the outcomes for our children. I truly think that Virginia can design a better plan for Virginians that meet the needs of it. And I'll give you, for instance, there are people of means in my area of Virginia Beach that would like to put a residence up for their children and other children in the city, including those with the Medicaid waivers, and expect to be able to move in, but those with the Medicaid waivers cannot move into that environment because it says you have to put them in an environment with people without disabilities and be in that same environment. And yet, I don't feel comfortable with my daughter being in that environment. And she's proven on her own in certain circumstances that environment is just not going to be safe. And this environment would be, but the federal government prevents us, but we need the Medicaid input, those types of people to be able to make this a workable solution. And it's workable because most of these kids are able to work. And they have to take handy ride or something to get back and forth to work. Well, if they're located in this place, and it's a very, very nice place. It looks like a college dorm type setup. Very similar to Woodrow Wilson. I don't know if any of you all been to Woodrow Wilson. I'd encourage you to go out to Woodrow Wilson if you haven't seen it and see what the state has operating out there. It really is a great facility to start you with independent living, those kinds of things. It very much looks like a college. It's a college quad dorm. Go through that kind of orientation and independent living, and they have everything from higher changing to certified nurse's assistant to all different kinds of programs. It's not just for intellectually disabled, for those, it's for brain injuries, it's for whoever needs that kind of resource to get back where they're contributing to society again. They had an instance where it's on their videos, it's great to watch. Lost both arms. And was there one place that can get disabled people a driver's license, a BMV, not to go to BMV, they can issue the driver's license there if they reach a crime or they're disabled on the road. This boy had no arms, unbelievable guitar player, plays with the student. It's just unbelievable to watch some of the things that come out of this facility. They also work with a paraplegic, quadriplegic, Christopher Reeves, what was the Superman Christopher Reeves? And when he passed away, all that equipment that he had for his paralysis was all put into that school with all the students do that. That's the kind of state I want to be a part of. That's the kind of state that Virginia should be. That's the kind of state we need to be. I bring it to people's attention because I'm running for governor. It gives me a wherewithal to talk about these things. It's something I feel very strongly about. It's something that it's been a major part of my life now, from a personal nature, but it would have been in anyway, had I not had a daughter, there's people that come into my office, the constituents that come into my office that have these problems and deal with them every day, and they don't know where to turn, and quite frankly, that's a function of a legislative and break through the bureaucracy for your constituents when they can't. It shouldn't be that hard. It should be much more facilitating, but I think that's one of the reasons I run, and I'm very proud of Lucille. And I might give her a few minutes just to tell her where her involvement was. But I'm very proud of her because I didn't come to her or ask her to do this. This is something that she feels very strongly about long before I even contemplated doing what I'm doing now. She was on the board of the Peninsula School for Autism. They asked her to join, not because of anything she has, but she's a good fundraiser and for causes. And you know, my job principally is to make the money. Her job is to figure out who to give it to. And she's pretty good at it. And so that's good. Anyway, but we've been proud to stand a school up that needed to be there. That there was no resource on the peninsula of Virginia to offer alternative education for students that did that. And now, through some of the rulings, and it's become an expense to the state, but now with the IEPs, it gives an opportunity for parents to have options to be able to put their children in an environment that will offer better outcomes. And this